was the idea of an alumni association. And I had an assistant principal working with me at that time by the name of Dr. Josh Lowe, and I asked him, would you be interested in taking on a project like this? And I had no idea how incredible a job Josh would do. He got with folks that I know he's going to recognize here tonight. But the work that Josh and the committee did to put together this alumni association, as a school, as a principal who's been the beneficiary of all that they've done, they've just done a tremendous job. So you'll hear the names later, but Dr. Josh Lowe, if you'll stand up and take a bow, I want to thank you personally for the job you've done. Now, if you haven't been back to FCHS, and I'm going to refer to FCHS because I know it's Forsyth Central to some of us here, but to others it's still Forsyth County High. So we'll just go with FCHS tonight. But there's been probably a few changes since you've been here. The building you're sitting in, I think this is about where the band tower was just 4 years ago. I met with a group of seniors this morning who will be the last group of students who ever know anything about what we affectionately used to call Lake Central, where you would cross from East Campus to West Campus, back and forth all day in the rain, and in a bad storm, we would have a big pond here in the middle. And so now with this incredible building that our taxpayers provided for us, they don't have to do that anymore. But we're grateful to be here. So that's one change, the buildings. Probably in a lot of the time periods that you went to school here, you didn't get to bring cell phones into the classroom with you. So we have this thing called BYOT where we actually encourage them to bring their phones. But what they can't bring, that some of you, I understood, used to be able to bring were cigarettes. My understanding is there was a smoking area, designated smoking area, and so that's been a little bit of change. They took away from principals the right to paddle, which I'm hearing the stories of some lady, and I may or may not have heard this from Tim Perry more than once, about a lady named Peggy Walker. So I'm not sure that all changes are good, but I know I'm not allowed to paddle anyone anymore, and I don't know if that was because of Peggy's work or what. But there's been a lot of things with all these changes and all these things on the surface that have changed. There's been a lot of things that remain the same. The dome, for instance, you know, there's been some buildings they've talked of tearing down. I know I'm not a Forsyth County native, but I will chain myself to that dome while I'm here before we'll let them ever tear that down. I'm not going to lie, we did talk about a year ago when we were trying to raise money of starting a rumor that they were going to tear the dome down, and we were going to try to do that as a fundraiser, save the dome, and collect money. But word got out, and I got busted on that, so we're not going to do that. But, you know, building-wise, that hasn't changed. Most importantly, what hasn't changed is the love affair between the city of Cumming and Forsyth County, and what that feeling is, that love affair with this school, with FCHS. And the buildings may be different, the campus may have changed, but there is a real sense of community that we have at FCHS that's just not evident at the other schools. And I'm a fan of the other schools. I was at West Forsyth High School when it opened. I spent 4 years there. I spent my 3 years in Purgatory, or at Lambert High School, which was a fantastic learning experience, and there's good folks there. I make fun, but there's good folks there. But there isn't anything around that touches the history and the community and the love that this school exhibits day in and day out. And you know, this morning we were blessed. Fox 5 was here. We beat our neighbors to the north last Friday night. And it was, yeah. We rehearsed that earlier today. But, you know, amazingly, it's been 11 years since FCHS has beaten an in-county opponent. 11 years on the football field. And so that was a huge breakthrough. Yeah, that was a huge breakthrough. Such a big deal that Fox 5 showed up here this morning to present to our coaches and our coaching staff and our football players and cheerleaders the Fox 5 Award as Team of the Week, which is a first ever for the school. Those things may be little in the big picture, but in terms of the identity of this school and getting back to that pride in FCHS that has always existed here, those little things go a long way. Tomorrow night, we play West Forsyth High School, and their football program was built by a gentleman named Frank Hepler. And about 3 years ago, we were in the market for a new football coach. Josh Lowe was on the committee, as was Tim Perry, and we were able to lure Frank Hepler back here. And I think, we still have a long ways to go. We're 5-1 this year, but if we could get everybody out there tomorrow night to that game and help Frank and some of our staff that we have here get some sweet revenge over those folks over on the west side of the county, that would be great. Okay. I'm supposed to turn this thing over to Josh. I could go on and on talking about your school, but we're here to honor some very special folks. So without further ado, I will turn it over to the man that really got this whole thing going, Dr. Josh Lowe.
Good evening. Thanks to Mr. Young for the kind comments, and really excited to have a great crowd here tonight to recognize a lot of folks. Before we start, he did mention 3 years ago we started this, and anybody who knows anything about anything in life that has much success to it, you got to have the right team around you or it doesn't work. So the smartest thing we ever did, starting this Alumni Association, was working with our first steering committee and getting our board started to get this off the ground. And I think we have an Alumni Association that is second to none, and credit goes very largely to them. And I'd like to call their names. If you're here, please stand up. Dustin Cannon, I think Coach Cannon's coaching tonight. He's not here. Paula Galt, Mike Gravett, Judy Jenkins, Linda Lang, Christopher LeBlanc, Gail Mize, Shannon Mize, Amanda Neighbors, Tim Perry, George Perkle, Joey Perkle, Angie Richards, Kevin Talent, Deborah Moore, Joanne Tollison, and Chuck Welch. And a couple of those folks weren't able to make it tonight, but a large number of them here. So we really appreciate you guys. I'd like to give our board a round of applause, please. A couple of other folks that I'd like to recognize before we get started with the business at hand. First and foremost, there were about 600 kids eating lunch in here at 1:30 today, and our custodial crew did a great job setting up, cleaning up, getting it set for this event. Our administrators or any staff in attendance, Ms. Hertz here with our ambassadors. I'd like our ambassadors to please stand up. Really proud of our ambassadors. Started a few years ago, Ms. Mize and our alumni board and our alumni association has been a great support of our ambassador program here, and these some great kids that took the time out of their evening to come out and show you guys around and just be here for this evening. I'd like to also recognize, I don't know if he made it, but Riley McGuire and Ms. Heather Hanline. Heather is here. Heather's in the back. Heather's teaches one of our graphics classes, and her class is responsible for most everything we put together, including like the programs tonight that Riley did. And Heather, we appreciate you and what you do for us. Jason Hanline, our audio visual class. Jason's in the back recording this tonight. Jason informed me he's going to try to stream this to YouTube, so we'll be able to share it to anybody that wants to have copies, or if not, we can get copies for folks. Jim Tozier, Michelle Dugan set up our audio and our lighting, our screen and all that stuff. Morgan Datt, Mackenzie Rich Center, the two young ladies that are at the desk outside helping with membership. Nights like tonight don't come off without a hitch, and if you have not joined, I would challenge you to please consider joining the Alumni Association tonight and help spread the word, because the more stuff that we're able to do for this school depends on the amount of members we have. So please spread the word and consider joining if you have not. And one other thing, Kim Clapper in the school store, George Perkle in our photography, but I wanted to point out this podium that's fresh. It's still a little bit sticky. Robbie Tribble is one of our alumnus that built this beautiful display case for us that all the alumni plaques are in outside. And he actually delivered this day before yesterday, handmade and donated for this event for us to use at school. So we appreciate that. So without further ado, it's time for the business at hand. Did I leave anything out? Anybody else we need to recognize? If so, I apologize. But I would like, what we're going to do tonight is we will recognize each inductee or the teams involved and read their bio, and then we'll have them come up, and friends, family, who would like to join them, or family if you're here representing someone who's going in that maybe passed, and we'll go from there. So first person we'd like to recognize tonight is Ms. Paula Hurt-Galt. Paula is a former teacher, superintendent, volunteer from the class of '64. As a student, Paula Hurt-Galt was influenced by many outstanding educators at FCHS, but her love of teaching was sparked earlier when she helped her siblings learn their ABCs and numbers. After graduation, Paula entered the University of Georgia, becoming the first in her family to receive a college degree. Paula taught in Clark and Forsyth counties, served as assistant principal and as associate superintendent before becoming superintendent of Forsyth County Schools in 2001. FCS vision of quality learning and superior performance for all meant high expectations for everyone in the district. Student achievement and graduation rates increased. A non-traditional high school opened for students needing additional assistance, and the Almond Hill Center was open to support the academic needs of students. Additionally, Paula began the Stephen Ministry at First Baptist Church after retirement and leads Grief Share. She has chaired court-appointed special advocates, which is goes by the acronym CASA of Forsyth County, and in 2016 was recognized by the Georgia CASA with its first Board Leadership Award. She serves on the FCHS Alumni Association Board, local board of Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, and the governing board of Forsyth County Education Foundation. She recently established a 4-year college commitment scholarship for a Forsyth County student entering UGA. Paula resides in Cumming with her husband, Robert Hughes. She is the mother of Kelly Story and Kristen Moore. She is the stepmother to Michelle Leak and Melanie Martin, and the GD to 12 outstanding grandchildren. FCHS is proud to induct Paula Hurt-Galt to the 2018 FCHS Hall of Fame. Paula, please come forward.
Thanks. I'm brief. I'm so grateful that all those folks could be here. I appreciate my family. And I'm especially excited that some of my former students were here. I really do appreciate it. And I want to thank you, the FCHS Alumni Association, for this huge honor. You know, it was never my goal to be a school superintendent. I wanted to be a principal, Mitch, but I never made it. And I truly believe, though, that I was in the right place at the right time, and it was the Lord's plan for me to be the school superintendent. It was an unbelievable experience to serve in this Forsyth County community that is amazingly supportive of its students and schools, and with a Board of Education that always puts children first. At that time, as it is now, Forsyth was one of the 5 fastest growing counties in the nation, and our student enrollment increased from 16,000 in 2001 to over 30,000 in 2008. But with approval from the community of several SPLOSTs and bond referendums, the district was able to build 13 new schools and additions at many others. We quickly learned a lot about opening new schools, and I have a nice collection of hard hats. But the hardworking, capable, and dedicated teachers, leaders, and support staff in the schools and the central office were and are the reason for the academic and other success we enjoyed then and that continues today. It was my honor to be a small part of it. So again, I want to thank my family, my girls, Kelly, Michelle, Kristen, Melanie, my stepson Chris, my husband Robert's here, his sister, my brother Jack and family, my nephew, nieces and nephews, and wonderful friends. I couldn't have done it. I just had wonderful support all along, and I'm so grateful. And of course, the most important people are those 12 folks who call me Gigi. You guys stand up, please. Yes. They're not all here. They're great. So thank you to my former second grade students and special friends that are here. I really do appreciate you sharing this special time with me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paula. Okay, the next person being recognized tonight is Mr. Donald Glover. Donald Glover is a lifelong resident of Forsyth County. He married high school sweetheart Catherine 60 years ago, and they have 3 children, Kathy, Donna, and Jeff. He was the vice president of his senior class and the president of the Future Farmers of America. Following high school, Donald took classes at Lockheed, Mercer University, and Georgia Tech, and earned a vocational certification through the Georgia Department of Education, UGA. Donald worked on a poultry and cattle farm at Lockheed and taught drafting and design classes at FCHS. He designed and was project supervisor for the construction of the current football stadium in 1978. He served as president of the Forsyth County chapter of the Georgia Retired Teachers Association, the advisory board of the Pickens Area Technical School, and a member of the Georgia Department of Education evaluation team. Donald is a deacon and Sunday school teacher and director at Coal Mountain Baptist Church. He was the voting precinct manager for over 40 years, and in 2010 became chief registrar and chairman of the Forsyth County Board of Registration and Elections. He was reappointed in 2017. He served as a Forsyth County Commissioner from 1981 to 1984. Donald worked on a state grant in 1984 to construct the current Forsyth County Health Department building and helped implement the county 911 emergency system. Donald and Catherine remain active in our community and provide funding for the FCAA Scholarship Fund. Forsyth Central High School is proud to induct Donald Glover into the 2018 class of the Hall of Fame. Donald.
I am truly honored with this award. And I've got a speech, I don't think it'll be over 30 minutes. I'd like to say up front, our family that just came up here, we have Kathy and Lawrence Williams, our oldest daughter. We have Jeff, our son, his wife, and grandbaby. And then Mitchell Williams. He's here. He graduated here 50 years after I did. And then his big brother Spencer is in the medical field. He's probably assisting in surgery right now. And Allie, his wife, is here. And I appreciate that gets everybody. I appreciate them being here. All except him, Allie, and Emma graduated from here. So we do have a little history. And there's Mitchell. I mean, sorry about that. Donna, our middle daughter, she is in Africa as a missionary with her husband Steve. They graduated here. Then Michael can't be here. He is, I believe, in classes tonight. Her young oldest son. Maggie is with her husband on business out of town. And Peter, the one I was about to forget, how could I do that for? He is preparing at North Georgia College to be commissioned as a Marine officer. We're real proud of him. He's gone for a while. There are 3 former inductees that I want to mention. They hold a special place in my memories. Ms. Gladys Barrett. Anybody remember her? She was my favorite teacher. I learned from her because she really cared for us. And it was amazing how high she could raise an eyebrow, especially when she called me to come up and sit by her during study hall. I don't know why. Somebody got to thinking she may have had a crush on me. I really loved her. Mr. Hill, our greatest coach back then, he made it possible for we students to get released at lunch when we were in the state tournament in Macon. And so we liked it. Ms. Coos didn't like us to do these, but we made some pretty fast trips to Macon and back. The good Lord watched over us. But it was a good time. Now, the last one, George's brother, my classmate, Colonel Johnny Parker. Surely an outstanding soldier, but I must pass on to you his last service to the class of 1956. He called me on Thursday night before our reunion on Saturday. And he said, Donald, I need your address so I can overnight some gifts, because I don't think I'm going to be able to be there, and I want you to present them for me. I learned they did come, and anyway, I learned later that Johnny had more or less left the UPS store and went to the hospital, where he died nearly a week later. He thought that much of his class, and to be sure it was just for him. Being in the first senior class on this campus, it's changed a little bit though. There's a lot of fond memories. In 1972, Mr. Harris, James Harris, one of the former inductees, he called me and then hired me to be the drafting teacher. I came in there and I had to work a notice out at Lockheed before I could come, and guess who popped up again? Almond Hill. He was substituting my class until I could be there. And the class was a little bit different. The prior drafting instructor had became unhappy. His enrollment was down, and they had to feed in 2 shop math courses for welding class and construction class just to fill up his day. And when I got there, after my notice, I knew that I had a little challenge ahead of me. But the first day, now in the drafting room, the teachers there were 1 step higher. And when I went up there on there, I was in one of those math classes, I turned to put my name on the board. When I turned, pennies started hitting all around me on the floor. This was a test. They had contributed mightily in getting the other teacher to resign. So all those pennies all around me, it was kind of surprised. But I turned around and stared at them a while, and they were dead quiet. And I finally told them, let's get one thing straight. I don't bend over for less than quarters. And I had my way into them. I connected with them. They were fine from then on. So, to me, one of the most gratifying things that I've ever had is learning about, running into, and talking with former students. Saw one the other day that's a professor and department head in one of the California colleges. And she still didn't look like she was old enough to do that. But anyway, she was a star student. The other thing is, I still enjoy thinking of some creative mischief that went on. For example, super gluing Gail Martin's door across the hall from mine. Another example I thought was real creative. Back when you don't have it now, we had bells on the wall with a big stuff over it. One bolt, we pick it off. One of the seniors told me about this and said, now you just be quiet. I think it's going to be good. They were going to create a diversion. Then everybody had their assignment to go take the bells off. And while the principal was searching what's going on, they were sneaked in and put them in his desk. Now, I thought that was creative. But they chickened out and didn't do it. So I remember saying several times, most of you seniors will be successful in life in spite of what you do. Tim Perry, do you remember that? So that's all I have. Thank you so much. Thank you all for listening.
For what it's worth, we still have some pranksters on occasion. Okay. The next group that will be inducted will be our 1958-mile relay state champion teams. Let me just start over. 1958-mile relay state champions. In the spring of 1958, the legendary Forsyth County High School relay track team brought home the first ever state championship for FCHS in any sport. Teammates from left to right in the picture, Jerry Brannon, Jerry McWhorter, Roger Shabern, and Barry McWhorter outran teams from Manchester, Perry, and Morgan County for the mile relay title. All four of these athletes were accomplished multi-sport players. In those days before the stadium was completed at FCHS, teams practiced and played on the field behind the old Cumming swimming pool on Pilgrim Mill Road. And this group was the first one to bring us the championship home. So I know we have quite a few folks here from representing this team with family members and so forth, but FCHS is proud to induct the 1958 relay track team into the 2018 Hall of Fame. So if you please come forward.
I believe I can speak for Barry, Jerry, and Pee Wee, Jerry Brannon, called him Pee Wee. We really appreciate this. I told Johnny Talbot when he told me I was nominated, I said, I appreciate the nomination, but when it comes to be elected, it is an honor, and I'm thankful for it. I will say this, without Barry and Jerry, we wouldn't have been here today. Because them boys, they made that relay team. They were fast. And I'll tell this little story. The first year that we ran the relay, our first meet was with Alpharetta and Roswell. Coach Ray Hadaway was our coach. And he had selected 4 boys, me and Pee Wee and 2 more. But to the last minute, the other 2 couldn't make it, and so he chose Barry and Jerry. and that was a smart move. But we went undefeated that season, won every race, got to the region, and
Speck Towns. I don't know if any of you know him or not. He was a track coach at the university for years. Anyway, he was in charge of the region meet over there. We won the region. After the race, thought we was going to be disqualified. Coach Towns came up and told us, told Coach Hathaway, says, you can't run the same boy twice. Barry and Jerry were identical twins. Coach Towns didn't know it, but we had a great relay team. We won the state that year. Also went to the all-class meet. Missed going to the Georgia-Alabama meet by one position. But it was a great relay team, and like I said, most of it was due to Barry and Jerry. I don't know if their kids took after them or not as far as speed goes, but they were great athletes, and besides that, they were great people, and Jerry Brannon was the same thing. I thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Okay, our next group, without question, is going to be our largest group, but the 1996 state champion girls softball team. The 1996 Forsyth Central softball team completed a fantastic season with an overall record of 28-7 in the school's first state softball championship. The Lady Bulldogs won the regular season region title and the region tournament, the state sectionals, and then went undefeated in the state finals played in Columbus, Georgia. It was the first state championship held at the brand new Olympic complex in Columbus, which was built for the '96 Olympic Games. Team members included Coach Leah Frederick, Talisha Edwards, Jamie Wilson, Blair Creamer, Sarah Stewart, coached by Jerry Cawley, Tabitha Dinsmore, Aaron Schultz, Julie Watson, Becca Jeremier, Brooke Bagby, Kelly Giddish, Breanne Coates, Jessica Jordan, Marissa Green, Tori Martin, Melissa Wallace, Emily Pritchett, Terry Fleming, Jackie Wilson, Julie Vaughn, Dina Martin, and we're also coached by Bill Richardson. If we could have the players and coaches who are here that were on this team come forward, please. Thank you. Coach?
It's hard to believe it's been 22 years, and y'all must be getting old. That's what it is. But yeah, it was very exciting, to say the least. We were thrilled to be the first tournament ever played at the Olympic complex. You know, it was built for the 1996 Olympics when Atlanta hosted, and we got to go there. We were the first group to get to do that. All classifications were played there that year, and speaking of all classifications, we were not the highest classification at that time like Central is now, but the winner of the highest classification that year was Tift County. And we just happened to play Tift County earlier in the year up here at Bennett Park, and we beat them. So as far as I'm concerned, the best team in the state, regardless of classification, was this group right here. But it was a lot of fun, and it was great. They had a great season. We took 19 girls to Columbus for the state tournament, and I think 10 or 11 are back tonight, so that's a pretty good showing. So it was really, really exciting. Wish the others could have been here also. Like I said, I can remember it like it was yesterday. We beat Dodge County in the first game down there. We got off the bus so excited. We were behind 6-0 before the bench got warm, I think. And once we had a little powwow and got settled down, we kicked them 9-6 and ended up winning that first game. And then we had to play Vidalia. I forgot. We called them the Fighting Onions. We beat Vidalia, and then we had to play Fannin County, a very familiar opponent. We had played them twice during the year and split with them. I'll never forget that game because 17 out of the 19 players played in that game and all contributed, so just to show what a team effort it was. We won that game, and we left the complex and went to a local high school to practice and work out and just to get away from it, not knowing who we were going to play. And it ended up being the Onions again. So we played the Vidalia for the state championship. And what I remember about that, of course I can remember it like it was yesterday. We were so excited, we jumped on them 8-0, just like that. And the girls were starting to chant and sing and holler, and I didn't like that. I didn't allow that during the season, but this time I didn't care one bit because it was sincere. They weren't doing it just to be silly or whatever. It was coming from the heart. They were so excited, and so we just let it go. We got ahead 8-0, and we started feeling a little too good about ourselves. It got to be 8-4. So we had another little powwow, like it's not quite over yet, and but like I said, I can remember closing it out. Called on Brooke Bagby to pinch hit, and she got a big hit and drove in 2 runs that gave us the breathing room, and we ended up winning at 8-4. And like I said, I can remember those last 3 outs. Fly ball to Terry Fleming in right field for out number 1. Comebacker right to Jackie Wilson on the pitcher's mound for out number 2. And then they got a couple of hits, and Leah and I were kind of getting a little fidgety, and then a ground ball to Becca Jeremiah at the shortstop, and that was it. And I remember, I think I squeezed Leah harder than Brad ever has. We were so excited, and the celebration began. But it was great, and just to end with this, there's several coaches here, no matter whether it was high school or if you're rec coach or whatever, and you always get asked when you're a coach, what kind of team you got? What kind of team you going to have? What kind of team did you have last year? What kind of team you got? And the answer is you can't really tell that for about 10, maybe 15 years. In this case, 22. Because, see, you have to wait and see what kind of wives they become, what kind of mothers they become, how many are active in a local church somewhere in the community, and what kind of young ladies they turn out to be. Then you know what kind of team you have. And 22 years later, I can see and you can tell this is definitely a Hall of Fame group. And on behalf of the coaches and all the players and all of us, thank you for this honor. It's a great honor, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
Ladies, anybody else have anything to share? All right, thank you. A couple things while these ladies are getting a seat, and then there's no rush out of here tonight. If you want to bring up families and get pictures, that'll be perfectly fine. I wanted to remind any of our inductees that tomorrow night, our game against West, as Mr. Young was talking earlier, is going to be a big region game for us, coming off of a exciting game the other night. But we will recognize inductees. If you'll be at 6:45 down on this end of the stadium by the rock gate, if you know what that is, there's a big rock down there with an FC on it. About 7:05, we'll go out on the side of the field, and you'll be recognized prior to the game tomorrow night. So we hope everyone here will be able to join us again for that. Also, as goes with any time you start recognizing a list of folks, you realize whenever you're reflecting, you left a thing or two off. Lanier Lim Florist provides these flowers for us, and we appreciate that. And then somebody I want to recognize that certainly was a complete oversight by my part. I was reading out my list. Ms. Amy Robinson's our board secretary and works here at school with us. And about 80% of alumni stuff wouldn't happen if she didn't help get it done, along with Angie Richards and Linda Lang did a lot of proofing in the last few weeks, and all of our board working together tonight and throughout the process. So we appreciate you. All right, guys, I'm going to turn it over to Tim Perry to close us out, and then feel free to hang out, get pictures, visit with friends as long as you'd like, or until Mr. Young turns the lights on. Thank you.
Well, hello, I'm Tim Perry, and I was a member of the class of 1979. Went to school with several of you here. As I look out at the family members here and the Hall of Fame inductees, all of y'all have been special. Your families, my dad, was on the track team with some of the members of the mile relay. I don't know what Mr. Glover was talking about. I was usually in the library studying, so I'm not real sure about the mischief he's talking about. But Mr. Glover, Coach Colley, the other coaches that are here, they've meant a lot to the school, contribution that they have made, not just to the school, the community, but the students here. And again, I congratulate all of you. As it was said earlier, under the supervision of Mr. Young and Dr. Lowe, we established the Forsyth Central Alumni Association. We started in 2015. Our sole purpose was to honor our past, celebrate the present, and provide for our future. And some of the things that we have done in the last 3 years, we have given back over $50,000 to Forsyth Central in various projects. And these were line items that were not included in the Board of Education budget. These were things that that the school the booster clubs would have to be responsible for, or just do without. Some of the things worth mentioning, we funded the updated signage around the campus, particularly New Park. Some of the buildings out front, some of the athletic fields. We purchased a trailer for the automotive engine team so that they could transport their equipment to competition, and they've done very well. We recently funded a wellness center for teachers and students and staff here. And in the 3 years, we have awarded 6 scholarships to Central seniors that have excelled academically, that want to continue their education in college, and of course we'll do 2 more this year. All that said, I invite you to join the Forsyth Central Alumni Association. Take pride in your school, support your alma mater, and embrace the memories. Ambassadors, embrace the memories, because time is precious and it goes by quick. But anyway, we have a table set up right outside. So if you're not a member, and we have several different levels. If you're not a member, please see us outside and we'll sign you up. Otherwise, go Dogs. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you to all of our Alumni Association members, board members, and members at large. for a great night. Thank you to all the inductees for taking the time out of what I know are busy schedules to come back for this. It's as special to us as it is to you. To the student ambassadors and to the students that are out there tonight, one of the things that I think you heard over and over and over tonight were references from people that went to school here a long time ago about their teachers. And we've got sitting out here tonight somebody probably in our group here that's gonna make some great inventions and be great politicians and doctors and maybe a cure for cancer. But we need great teachers. And the impact you can have as a teacher should be very, very clear from the words you heard from the folks up here tonight. So I would urge you to give education a look, because you can make an impact for a very long time. Without anything else other than go Dogs, we invite everybody to come up and take pictures, to mill around, to take some time to look at your plaques in the award case, and be safe. God bless. Have a great weekend. I saved that for you guys. I know some of these folks. I think it's just random selection. I mean, everybody gets pulled in, but I don't know. Yeah. But you'll get a chance.
I mean, I can give you a couple more.
Great. Thank you. Appreciate you.